Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Fit Lawyer Pod. I am your host, Fit Lawyer Julia, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Lauren Shuffet. She is here in San Diego, and she is actually a San Diego native, which is surprisingly rare. In my decade plus of living here, I think I've maybe met like three people who were like born and raised in San Diego. So that was really cool. She is a licensed real estate agent. She is a wealth of knowledge. And I just learned today that she has not been in this industry for as long as I thought she had been, just because of how knowledgeable she is, how well she knows the market. San Diego's a big city, and there's so many different pockets, and she's just so knowledgeable of all of them, the market, the rates, and not to mention she's just, her personality is so lovely. She's so vivacious, and her joy is truly just contagious. Like I said, I first found her on Instagram. We both had the same bodybuilding coach. His name is Feddy. He is a Olympian and IFBB men's physique pro who also does lifestyle as well as competitive coaching. So I found her through his page when she was on prep for her first wellness show, and and just even through like Instagram, I can tell that she was gonna be a girl after my own heart. And then when I started following her, obviously I first started following her just to follow her bodybuilding career because I love the wellness division. I love kind of all divisions, but because I compete in bikini, wellness is the next division up. So I wanted to follow her bodybuilding journey, and then I realized that she also competed in powerlifting, and she is a licensed real estate agent. I love real estate. And she's just a very, very active member of the community. As you'll hear in our episode today, she volunteers, she runs her own boot camp, and she really gives back to the community. So I had a great time chatting with Lauren today about real estate, about bodybuilding, about powerlifting. And she just has some great information on the market right now, on what you should do if you want to be in the real estate industry, whether as an agent or other roles in the real estate field. So I'm super excited to share today's episode with you. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Miss Lauren Shuffet. Oh, hey, girl.
Here we
Well,
are.
yes. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast. I know you're super busy selling homes and showing homes and learning about your industry, which I love. I love real estate as well.
I love
Um,
that you love it. I'm always thinking of you like, oh, she would love this, like the design studio.
yeah.
Oh, the outdoor too. Anytime I see anybody with like great landscaping, I think of you.
Well, thank you. But as much as like I want a little backyard for my dog and my own
Yeah.
washer dryer, like the housing prices is just it's so hard. And I think what's even harder than that California or San Diego housing prices, it's the freaking interest rate. Like it's like I have the money for the down payment, but then it's like, do I literally want to give my last dime every month
Right.
to pay for these? And I know you and I talked a little bit, on a couple houses, and you were saying like people were coming in with like cash offers for $1 million homes. Like, um, is that like,
Could be, they could have liquidated something. It could be family gift fund.
okay?
Um, yeah, pulling out of a business, another home. So I think it's a lot of that when it's all cash. Yes.
And I was reading, so I still get newsletters from my previous agent as well as some other, like Marcus and Millichap. I know they're a really big one.
Mm-hmm.
I subscribe to both their residential and their business
Cool.
newsletters. So I'll
Cool.
also get emails about like multi-units, apartments. They
Yes.
also touch on like hotels and other stuff. So I've been kind of just, dabbling, reading whatever, but
Yeah.
they were saying like now more than ever there's unwed couples buying homes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that as a
Yes,
trend as well?
I have. I definitely have. I mean, they weren't married, but they were engaged, still not
Mm-hmm.
married. In this case, it was gift funds from family. But I
Okay.
think that's how they're trying to make it work, you know? And,
Yeah.
and to get, if they can make it work, like a lot of, I tell people, like how you said, if I can make that
Yeah.
payment work, then I'm gonna do it because then I'm in somewhere. But you're in a great spot because you are in somewhere.
Ooh, yes,
Which,
I
okay,
did, girl.
so if the payment, and I know the payment initially is going to be way more than anybody's rent, of course, and especially now with the rates, but in the long run, like that's going to balance back out and eventually be cheaper than the rents that they're probably just going to increase.
Okay.
But
So
if the
even
payment
with
can work, then do it, but if it's the payment's going to break you, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And then what I always tell people is like if you have the money now and you're not buying this home simply as an investment, but you're buying it as your primary residence,
Yeah.
you can always piece out your home. Like I have
Yeah.
a 3 bedroom that I pieced out or
Yeah.
piecemealed out. But what I always say is like when interest rates come down, you can always refinance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, so you are a very experienced and knowledgeable real estate agent. You're born and raised in San Diego, which is pretty rare. Like, I don't meet too many people that are like from here. Everybody is like a transplant. You kind of tell where they're from by their phone numbers.
Oh, totally. And then when I see a 619 number, I'm like, it's so funny. And then when I meet like,
Yeah.
locals or natives, San Diego natives, I'm like, no way. It's amazing.
Yes.
It's
So if anybody really needs a real estate agent, definitely hit up Lauren. I will ask all of your contact information at the end. But I love that you are a San Diego native because you've grew with the city. You've seen it change. But when did you get into this industry?
into real estate.
Yes.
In 2020. So I was looking
Oh,
over, yeah, in 2020 is when I started. I was in the, I guess, service industry, right? I always worked in restaurants since 2005. And I worked all over Coronado, some in San Diego. And I was bartending. I bartended for 12 years of my life. It was so much fun. You meet so many people. It teaches you a lot about communication, right? You just
yeah.
always have to be on your toes. Always be ready. You never know what anybody's going to say. You never know who's going to walk in that door.
Yeah.
And that kind of translated for me into real estate. But I was bartending. An amazing agent in Coronado with a great career asked me to be her assistant. And I couldn't have said yes fast enough. So I didn't. So I'm her assistant. This was so January 2020, everything shut down. What, March of 2020?
Yes.
So then I had to learn virtually. So we were all at our homes. So I'm learning from this lady via Zoom. And I'm so grateful. Like, I didn't even know how to DocuSign at this time. And she taught me literally from the
Uh-oh, did
bottom.
I lose you, Lauren? Are you still there?
Oh, I'm still here.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
Okay.
Did you not hear anything? I'm sorry.
So I heard that it was you were learning everything virtually because you started
Mhm.
January of 2020. Um, and yeah, so you were learning virtually, but I wanted to see if you wanted to give her a shout out, give her business a shout
Oh
out.
my gosh, Olga Lavelle. Yes. I mean, I learned from the bottom up from the best.
Awesome.
She's from Mexico City. She has done everything from being an editor-in-chief for a magazine in Mexico
Oh
City
shit.
to almost like the Jane Fonda. She would do like workout tapes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's amazing. And definitely all the shout outs to her. She has built an amazing career in Coronado. She works primarily in the Coronado shores, which are those
Mm-hmm.
10 buildings right on the ocean. So I got to learn from the bottom up from her. I mean, I learned all of the back end. So all of those contracts and stuff I would go through with her.
Yeah.
And then the whole, walking every single building, dropping off the flyers. You have to introduce yourself to everyone. You have to say hi to remember everybody's name,
Yeah.
all the birthday cards to the doorman. So, gosh, she taught me so, so, so much. And then I studied as I'm doing this, I'm studying for my license. I take the test because I was working in the industry. The test was no problem for me. I've heard it's
Yeah.
difficult. Um, and then I got my own license, and she, again, I owe her so much. She said, "You need to be your own agent. I will write a letter of recommendation to you. What do you want to do? For you, what do you want to
Oh,
do?"
that's amazing.
And I said, "I want to be on this team." I knew these girls just from being in the industry. I knew
Yeah.
this group of women. My best friend of 18 years was also on this team. She
Yes, and I
and
met her as well.
Yeah, so she and I are now business partners, but Olga said, please hire Lauren. They did. So it was just like a pinch me moment. That
Yeah.
whole experience was like very great.
That's really, really amazing to hear because again, I've said this a million times. I've worked in labor and employment and I've labor and employment law for most of my litigating career, and maybe it's because of the industry, but I hear so many horror stories, so it's so refreshing to hear that you had a boss who taught you, like you said, from the ground up, but also really looked at what's best for you. Like, hey, you need to be your own agent. Like, you need to get licensed and propel your career because realistically, she could have kept you as an assistant, paid you an assistant pay, and kept you below her essentially for her own financial gains. But that's really amazing that she didn't do that and really
Yeah, I
propelled
mean,
your
I would see
career.
her more than my mom. I would be in the office with her, and she's like my mom's age. She was my second mom.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. And I know that that's not a normal situation. So
Yeah,
very,
she's like your career mommy.
oh yeah, she
Because she's,
watched me grow.
if you guys, yeah, if you feel that close to her and it's more than a mentorship, then like,
Mhm.
I love that. That's amazing. So you're
And it's
still,
funny, I was in her office and now I have my own desk, but it's like right outside her office. And we still, what's for lunch? How are you?
oh, I love
Yeah,
that. Oh,
yeah.
and those Coronado properties are
Oh,
amazing, like breathtakingly
no.
amazing.
I know.
Yeah, but
Ah,
so yeah, so still.
it's
Yeah, so still relatively new to the field, but I feel like you're so
Mhm.
knowledgeable. You're always learning and going out networking, and you're kind of killing it because I follow you on the Instagram, and every time there's an open house, it's like 2 days later, it's an escrow.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing business is going well, but how is the not industry, the inventory, how is like the inventory and everything right now? Because I know fall is always kind of one of those times because school's starting,
Yeah.
it's the end of summer. So
It's
how is the market now locally?
So let me tell you, I also have a business coach, Dave Worth, and he's
Okay.
also amazing. It's just the team provides us with all of these tools, and we would be foolish not to use them and try to propel
Mm-hmm.
our careers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we've just been talking, he and I, about these questions because you want to be knowledgeable about your market. And yes, San Diego has so many different pockets. Like I live in Coronado, I know that like the back of my hand, but I also have clients that want to buy in North Park, South Park, IB. So you kind of want to look at like the big picture too, then you can kind of scale it down. But what I've seen is there's actually more homes coming on now.
Okay.
Um, on average, this is now kind of bigger picture, but San Diego's median price has lowered. So it's dropped a little bit. So there are more homes coming on. Prices dropped just a little bit. Interest rates, as we know, are going up.
Are what they are.
Right. So I mean, for some of our sellers, like we've had a couple appointments where they see, hey, there's another condo that just came on, or there's this, like maybe we should, maybe now is the time, before the end of the year
Yeah.
to cash out on this investment. Um, but there will always be, because we're in San Diego, because this is such a highly desirable,
Yeah.
beautiful place, there will always be more demand than there
Yes.
is supply. I mean, you can only go so far. Like you can only build so much before you're
Yeah.
out of the out of the county. Um, so that's what I've seen. It depends on the neighborhood. Like you said, some of those open houses have gone in days, like yes, days, hours even. It just that's very local. That depends on the neighborhood. That depends on the home. I see some that are overpriced. They're gonna sit for a very long time. And then when I work with and I see, the price reductions happening when I work with my buyers, that's kind of like well, they lowered it once, are they gonna lower it again? Sort of.
Yeah.
So you just have to always be thinking, always be creative and coming up with ways to make it work, but on both sides. And like interest rates is another hot topic, but if a seller would do a rate buy down, that can also help my clients for the first year, 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they can refinance after too.
And something I learned in my home buying process is there's so many different types of loans, right? There's fixed
Hmm.
loans, there's balloon loans. You can have a like a guarantor on a loan, which is also different than a co-signer on a
Hmm.
loan. So it's there's so much.
Yeah.
But
I love that you know this. This is why I always send you things and I'm always like, check this out. Yes, and I have great people. Again, you just kind of want to surround yourself with great
yeah,
people, right? Knowledgeable people that are also wanting to build their business. Like I have two, I mean, many amazing lenders, but I have two that are here in Coronado. One of them's part of my networking group, and she's just full of information. Anytime I sit down with her for any meeting, I'm just like, tell me everything that you know, because then I can help
yeah,
my clients. Just like how you know about this, not a lot of people know about that.
yeah. Shout them out, drop their names, and then I'll get
Oh,
all the information from you after.
yes.
Put it in the description because I think I
They're
want
so
this to
great.
be as entertaining as it is educational. And I think you are a wealth of information, Lauren.
Business building, I'm all about it. So
Yes,
Jen
you're,
Kaminsky and Ashley Ortega, those are my two girls that I love to send my clients to for their pre-approvals for their loans.
and another thing I learned in my home buying process is like now I know why they say you're shopping for a loan, right? Because
Yeah.
um the interest is technically what you pay to use this money, and then there's also like an upfront cost, which is like the points cost. Because I was so annoying when I bought my house, Lauren. Like my mom was even like, I'm proud of you, but dang, if I was if I was those lenders, I'd be so annoyed of you because I would be calling and like, well, I don't get it. Like why is this, why do I have to pay this 1 point, like an extra 5 grand when I could just do the 0 point? And they'd be like, well, if you want to do the 1 point, I think at that time it was like, he's like, the interest would be like 3.59. But if you want to do a 0 point, then your interest is like 3.99. And then I
Mhm.
was like, and then, and then it took a while for you to really understand and conceptualize everything. And then I had to do the math for the long term. And then I was also shopping at both, uh, I don't know if Jen and Ashley are like at just mortgage companies or if they're at a bank, because at that time I was talking to also like private mortgage lending, as well as like Bank of America and Chase, where I was already banking, because they have it, even though it's like 0.01% or point, it adds up in the long term. Like it doesn't feel like a big number at first, but you stretch that, but you think about $1 million loan and you stretch that over 30 or even 15 years, it's like, ooh, ooh.
Everybody listen to Julia and do your homework and do your math. Or everybody listen to Julia and be in communication with your lenders because that's what they're there for. Like these girls are so, so patient. You know, I
Okay,
have clients that call them like at 9 at night and they will answer.
that's
So,
awesome. So yeah, so also really listen to like your real estate agent because I didn't really even know the University Heights area. I was looking at North Park and Hillcrest because that's where I used to party and drink. So I was familiar with those areas, but those areas were maybe about 25 to 30,000 above my budget.
mhm.
And so she recommended the University Heights area. So like when you have buyers, are are they usually pretty set on a certain area, or how well do they take your recommendations?
Yes, they're set on an area and then we go shop. But I also know the neighborhoods so well, right? I mean, I grew up here.
Yeah.
So we can take, so what do you like about this neighborhood? What aspects do you like about this neighborhood? Okay, well, this neighborhood also has those. It is maybe closer to this, maybe has another benefit, like being a little more inexpensive.
Hmm.
So and they are very receptive.
Good.
Um, maybe I'm just very lucky right now, but they love a certain neighborhood, but if they're priced out, then we try to get them just next best, check everything else off their
Yeah.
list. And like
And
you said this, that it's not, you can be in it. It's not necessarily your forever home. If it
yes,
is, then that, we have to make sure that it's the forever home, but you don't have to be there forever.
exactly. Um, and then given how competitive like this market is, how do you get your clients, both the buyers and the sellers?
Um, well, you know what? Persistence. You always want to be in front of them. You want to be persistent. You don't want to be annoying.
Yes.
So you have to, that's like through trial and error and communication styles on both ends. You want to match your client's way of communicating. And so you just always want to be that person that's ready to share a resource, to give the information. Always just, you want to help them, like you genuinely want
Yeah.
to help them. So I'd say being persistent and just being yourself and wanting to help them. They know that. I will say, you know what? By growing up here, I have relationships with other agents. That's also very key. So the way that your agent communicates with the other agent, I've gotten my offer accepted just by again being persistent, explaining our team, having open communication. I'll call an agent before I submit an offer, asking what they're looking for. So it's a two-way street. Your duty is to your client, but I want to make sure that it's just going to go smooth right off the bat. You really want to try that.
Nice. And do you what's the big difference between working with buyers and sellers, and is there one you prefer over the other?
Ooh, well, okay. So, um, sellers, in my experience so far, it's very emotional, right? I mean, they're
Okay. Oh,
leaving. It has
yeah.
been, they're leaving, they're ready to get out, whether it's they can't get out soon enough, or or they like don't want to get out, they have to move for another reason.
Oh, okay.
I do love that preparation, getting the home ready, preparing, laying out what the client should expect. So I
Mm-hmm.
like that. I like that aspect of, okay, now we're going to get the photos, bringing in the open house and always communicating with your seller. This is how many groups came in, this is the
Okay.
feedback. Buyers are a lot of fun because I get to learn more. I get to learn more about them. Like, what do they like? Like
Yeah.
that's very cool. They like that you can see their design eye. Everybody everybody's mind works differently. Everybody's brain, sees things differently. So
Absolutely.
it's very cool to say, oh my gosh, this, he just is set on a garage. Like, let's go find him a garage. That's another challenge, which well, you and I love that, the challenge. So you're like, yes, let's something to accomplish.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say, uh, I like the sellers. I mean,
Okay.
I'll take anything, but you ask me and it wouldn't be fair for me to be like, poof, if I had to
Yeah.
choose, yes, because I like being next to them throughout that whole process,
Yeah.
you know?
That's very interesting that you mentioned because I've never sold a home before. Obviously, this is my first little condo. But certainly not my last.
I know.
Um, so because I didn't think about that emotional aspect, like all the years that they spent here, all the memories, especially if it's like a family home and they're selling, like they raised their kids there. Like I never really thought of that. Because
Gave
I
me
guess
goosebumps.
yeah, because my parents have bought and sold homes, but it doesn't quite hit you the same because it yeah, it just because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh man, like when the day comes for me to sell this condo, like there's been a lot of memories here, some
Yeah,
good, some not so good.
great.
Um,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I've been here for almost 5 years, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the longest I've lived anywhere since I was 18 years old.
It's
So
gonna
that's
be emotional, whether it's, you'll have
yeah.
different emotions, happy, sad, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
have you always been interested in real estate or into real estate even before you were in the industry?
Yes. So funny. Yes. And I want to say one thing. I love my investors because they're so black and white. They're all numbers. It's just this. Okay.
Well, I mean,
But
for investors, that's what it is because, I think that's kind of like how I grew up with my parents too, because everything was very practical. Like,
Mhm.
it's almost kind of sad, but it's like I didn't really see those houses as like quote unquote home. They were just what gave me protection for the time
Mhm.
being. Like
Yeah.
my parents have always been like, "Oh, I don't plan on staying here forever. Or we don't plan on staying here forever." So maybe it's just like growing up, I didn't have that emotional attachment to the home. So when you said that, like it didn't quite hit me, but this condo feels different.
And
Um,
it's funny because, like, I
but
was always
investors,
interested in real
yeah,
estate, and my parents would stay for, I mean, we've only moved a few times, um, but my mom was always into, it was up to her, you know, and she'd want, this about her house, and we would always go driving. We would go into open houses. She would bring me, whether we were looking or not.
yeah.
And then as I worked in the service industry in this beautiful place, Coronado, um, I had a lot of people say, "Gosh, you would be so great in real estate," and I'm thinking like, "Yes, I would love to do that." This was, so many years ago, like 7 years
Yeah.
ago. And then it's so beautiful, and it changes. So you'll have this house, and then gosh, I'll look maybe a year later, and if they're remodeling or tearing down, building something new, I love it. It's fascinating, like
Oh
how the
no, did I lose
design
you
change.
again?
Oh no, what about now?
Okay, you're here. Good, you're back.
I think I keep moving closer.
Hey, that's
um,
okay. That's okay.
yeah, so I definitely was always intrigued, and I was surrounded by these beautiful homes to begin
Yeah.
with. Hmm.
So when you work with your buyers, we touched on this a little bit, briefly a little bit earlier. When you work with your buyers, are you seeing more, like, what is the buying demographic, I guess, is my question.
Necessity now with the
Okay.
rates, it's necessity. So that demand, like there will always be demands to come live in San Diego, military, just
Mm-hmm.
relocating. There, changes in family dynamic, all sorts of reasons, right? So now with my buyers, it's the ones that can make that payment work,
Mm-hmm.
that need to move. They don't want to rent anymore. So right now, I think it's those. Those are the ones that are like, hey, I'm not scared of the interest rate. I'm gonna try, I'll make it work. I'll refinance later. The demographic with those buyers, and like personally, there are a lot of them are first time home buyers, second time home buyers. This is an investment property. Also VA. When we're in the gym, I
Okay.
mean, a lot
Yeah.
of my sphere will come from the gym, and a lot of those guys are eligible for their VA loans, which is great.
Yes.
So those are the first timers, the VAs, and they can use that loan on many properties, and a lot of them use it to invest too. They don't know that they can, but they do.
So, I love that you bring up the VA loan because that is something that I'm not super familiar about, obviously, because I'm not a veteran. Um, but I know it's a great program, and I know friends who have bought in homes from that. So, can you just expand and give a VA 101 real quick? Because
I'll
I
give you
think
basic VA 101. It's a
yes,
0% down loan. So you have to be active duty military. You would pay for, and there's no cap on the amount to loan. Like there used to be, I think it was a $2 million cap. It's not anymore. So whatever you can qualify for, you can buy, and potentially it would be zero down. You pay for closing costs. The rate will be whatever rate that you can get, but it's that zero down that's like the most enticing about this loan. And you can use it as many times as you want. So you can have a VA loan on this, you could potentially sell it, and then use your VA again. You can switch to another conventional FHA and then use your VA again. But it's ideal for somebody that can make the payment but they don't have that chunk to put down.
so the interest rates are still similar to what the market rate is. It's 0% down.
It's just the down that's the best. Yeah.
And then you were saying you can buy a home, use the VA loan, and then switch out the loan and then use your VA loan for another property.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty game
These guys.
changer.
Oh, I know. I
That's
know
very
many
game
people have built
changer.
a portfolio just doing that.
Yeah, but you have to be active military.
Yeah.
So okay. Okay. So
You
active
can active.
military members, if you're looking to buy a home, this is your chance. Hit up Lauren. I will have her information in
Yeah.
the description below.
Yeah.
There's so
And
many, I think, military benefits that people don't realize. Like, I'm not
yeah.
in the military, so I don't know, but I hear what some people will do with their military benefits, even like the GI Bill, whereas some people just don't.
And I don't know why.
I don't know
I
why either.
Me neither. It blows my mind. Sometimes I'm like, and you're not using your GI Bill? I
Right? I'm
mean,
like,
they
can I
give
use it?
yes, right. But I'm so glad. Like they deserve all those benefits. That's why I
Yes.
say it to them like this. Like you served
Yes.
our country. Can you please use the benefits? Yeah.
Yes. Like, make please get my tax dollars worth.
Oh,
Like,
but
please.
I'm like, if anybody deserves it, it's you guys. So come on.
Yes. Um, and so that's really cool. And like I said, I strongly encourage all active military
Use
personnel
it.
to, or at least like learn about it and look into it because, like Lauren said, you can use it, as many times as you want. But the thing is, you have to be active military. So if you're thinking about getting out anytime soon, like, so I guess that's my other question. So if they're active now, they use it, and then they decide to get out uh, after they buy the home, do
Yeah.
they have to switch out the VA
No,
loan or can they keep it?
no, that's your loan.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So now you know.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about getting out, this might be the time to buy a home.
You should maybe, yeah, that too. Yeah.
Um, so, this is also called the Fit Lawyer Pod. So we got to talk about some
Yeah.
fitness stuff, especially since that's kind of how I really first stumbled upon you.
Mhm.
You were prepping with Feddy Mo, who is a Olympian and coach in town, and you were doing wellness. And I
Mhm.
remember when I was when I first saw you on his page, because like he'll post
Yeah.
his athletes, especially when
Yeah.
you're close to show, and I was like, oh my gosh, she looks so good. I was like, she looks like a really like sexy hot librarian that's gonna whoop your
Oh.
ass if you're like too loud in the library. I was like, but then why do I feel like I might like it? Like I might go to the library
Right.
just to start some trouble.
And I'm the
But
loudest one in the library. I promise.
because you always have the cutest glasses, and you're the happiest person on cardio. I don't know how because I'm so angry.
Really? It's a
Yeah.
trick. I smile. I think I'm just subconsciously tricking myself. I think.
I love that because you would show up to like Stearns for morning cardio and you'd be like, oh, blessed to do cardio first thing in the morning. I'm just like, wow, I love that. Like I love that about her. And just even through like his repost of your story, like you just look so sweet, so vivacious, and just such positive energy. So I started following you and stalking you, and then realized that you were in the real estate business, and I was like, oh man, definitely got to link with her. But I'm curious on how you got into bodybuilding.
Oh, I powerlift. So I powerlifted for a long time. So I was competitively powerlifting since 2018.
Oh,
But
nice.
before that, I met a couple. He's a professional strongman and she's
Oh,
a figure athlete. They are this beautiful couple. They have four grown kids, like they look like Barbie and Ken. They're from Coronado, and I just befriended them. I looked up to their relationship. I mean, just great people. So we started working out together. I realized that I was pretty strong, right? And I learned some technique from him. He kind of showed me to get into deadlifting and squatting. I realized I was pretty strong, so then I would go to gyms and I thought I should compete, maybe see how strong I am. I walked up to a girl at TG in Pacific Beach. I saw her. I think she was deadlifting. She had a tripod. She was filming herself and I was like, "Do you compete? Do you have a coach?" Like, I think I want to try. And
yeah,
she introduced me to her powerlifting coach, Daniel Ishii. He's been around forever. He's amazing. And so funny. I called him up, like, I think I'm interested in competing. And he's like, let's meet, let's see if it's a good fit. So we meet at a gym and he's like, show me what you got. And I squatted and he's like, no, like, now do it, like, do it to depth. And I was like, I'm not, you know? Yeah. And gosh, we prepped and I got so much stronger. It's these little form techniques, yet it's just practice. It's repetition, right? And so I prepped for a few powerlifting meets. I loved it. It's all about just you're in a weight class,
okay,
and that weight class, you all squat, bench, and deadlift, and then it's the total, so the highest lift or the total amount lifted, your best lifts,
okay,
and whoever lifts the most in that weight class wins. So it's very like black and white numbers. And I loved it, but I also, so then you're already kind of in that industry, right? You see all the bodybuilders, you see like the CrossFit athletes, you see everybody.
yeah,
And then I was just like, hey, I think I want to do this now, the bodybuilding, right? I had a lot of
yeah,
friends that did it. And I looked on Instagram, and by this time you're already kind of in the industry,
yeah,
and Feddy was Feddy was the one that had all of these great girls, and I
yeah,
just messaged him like, "Hey, you don't know me, but I'd love to do a show." And then again, like, let's meet, let's see if it's a good fit, and we did, and then that's kind of how I got onto that kind of path. And gosh, I love that. I love the discipline. I love the intensity. You have to be present every single, like,
yeah.
you cannot skip. I mean, you're like your body thinks it's dying a little
Oh
bit.
gosh. Ooh.
And
But I
that's
do want to go
that's
back to the powerlifting a
Mhm,
little bit before we talk about how you moved on to bodybuilding. So I don't
mhm.
know too much about powerlifting, but you talked about the couple you met. He was a professional strongman. So
Yeah.
what is that?
Oh my gosh. Okay. There are strongmen like you see him on TV with the stones, with the caber,
Oh,
like
like
that.
the
Like
truck, the semi pulling
yes.
people.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's so cool. And also he competed in the Highland Games, and it's a Scottish that's like a
Oh,
Scottish
yes.
field. Yeah.
Yes. Like the whole bagpipe ceremony and
Yes.
everything. Oh, that's so cool.
Yes,
That's
yes,
so
and he would do
cool.
that. But he was very, very strong. He practiced a lot of form, I mean, I just learned from him and his wife. They had such a great relationship, the two of them. They raised four beautiful kids. I just loved their dynamic in the gym, outside of the gym. We're still in contact today. Like I am
Awesome.
helping I'm helping their daughter-in-law. She's getting into real estate. Like
Oh, I love
family friends for
that.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, he's
then
whole.
and then so powerlifting, you were saying you have a weight class and then
Mhm.
the winner is the overall weight move. So
Yep.
if you have like a weak bench but you can squat till infinity,
Mhm.
then
That's it. Yeah.
you can still do well,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So I have a very strong bench, or sorry, no, I have a very strong squat and deadlift. And in my training, I was able to get my bench press up. But you're so right. I would kind of count on those numbers to be higher because my bench
Okay.
would bring it a little bit down. Yeah.
Yeah, you are so strong. I've seen your squatting videos and I'm just like I am so impressed cuz like yeah, you're
People
very
say
strong.
you. Because I mean, yeah, I'm so grateful to have this body, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of practice. So yes, I'm strong, but I would practice all the time. I mean, when I was powerlifting and bodybuilding, there was a program. I followed it to a T. I mean, you do percentages of weights, you do little kilo plates, like very.
Yes. I always say do not dismiss the 2.5 pound weights,
Uh-uh.
okay? Progressive overload, especially for upper bodies, okay? I need them 2.5s.
Yes. Oh, girl, I have like little ones, like they're in kilos, so they're even smaller, but you put those on and you're
Oh
like,
my
I'm
gosh, I
there.
do too. I have like
See?
1 pound little like
Yeah.
sandbags that
Ah,
I'll like that I'll like put
mhm.
on. Oh yes.
It makes a difference. And it's funny too, because I would put my little 2.5s on, like say, lifted 405, and
Yeah.
then I would put my little 2.5s on, and that thing was not leaving the ground. It's funny, you're like, it's only 5 pounds.
My favorite quote from the Disney movie is in Mulan when they say 1 grain of rice can tip the scale, and that's kind of how I feel about like the gym sometimes. Like even 1 pound more is just too much, or 1 extra minute of cardio is literally going to kill me right now.
See?
So I'm
Oh
curious
my
how
God, I love
you
that you said
I'm
it.
curious how you prepare for a powerlifting competition. Like was there also specific diets? Did you have to diet down to a weight class? And what
Yes,
kind of training did that
yes.
entail?
So you do want to it depends on which league or association you want to join. That weight class will vary. But for example, my weight class, when I was lifting, I wanted to be in the 165 range, right? That was my cap. So it is a little tricky. I mean, he didn't give me a diet to follow like, Feddy would,
Yeah.
but you want to get stronger and you want to stay in that same weight class. So if you want to put on muscle to get stronger, which takes a long time, like my preps for powerlifting would be 5 months. That's,
Hmm.
and sometimes bodybuilding is 6 months, but
Hmm.
the powerlifting, I would want to kind of start lighter so that I can get, the progressive overload and build some muscle leading up to while staying just under that weight class. Because I wanted to be just under your weight cap, but you want to be the heaviest under the weight cap, so maybe you could potentially move the most weight, right? So if I
Okay.
was 165, I weighed in at 164.8.
Oh, nice.
I want it like under, but I still wanted that strength. And the program would be your main lifts are your squat, bench, and deadlift.
Okay.
So I would have a squat day. My accessories would be a lot of quad focus accessories. On my deadlift
Okay.
day, hamstring glute accessory. I wanted to get my bench up. I was benching twice a week. So I would do some shoulder accessory, and then I would also do another day where it was like strictly chest and tricep. I definitely arched. I was one of, you see the power lifters get in there and wedge
Yeah.
themselves and arch. I was a sumo deadlifter, which everybody, that doesn't count, but it counts there, so I did it. It's a little bit I mean, and with my body, when you sumo, you don't have to lift it as far. Like it's a
Okay.
shorter range of motion. Same with
Okay.
that bench, so it makes it, I mean, still heavy and not easy, but it could make
Yeah.
it easier for some body types. And that's what we would do. It was progressive overload all the way up to the meet. You would want to have your last heavy lift like 6, 7 days prior. You're not going to lift really, really heavy leading up to, I mean, maybe like 6 days. Um, and you weigh in the night before. So the
Okay.
day of, so you weigh in the night before, you check in, kind of like in bodybuilding, check in the night before. You don't have to be tan. And and so then that night, I mean, you can eat and refuel your body. Say you were dropping, some wrestlers will like do a crash drop.
Oh
I never
yeah, wrestling
did
is
that.
their weight drop is crazy, and
Yeah,
like the
some people
MMA
would like,
fighters and
yeah.
stuff.
So I knew some power lifters that they would want to drop like really fast, but that
Yeesh.
to me, like, gosh, that's gonna hinder your strength, I mean.
Yeah.
So ideally, you want to maybe start lighter to build up some strength, yet stay under that weight cap.
And then you say you didn't get a diet plan with powerlifting. So
Mm-mm.
what were you
So
eating, and how did you know, like, what to eat?
I was, you know what? I was also dating a bodybuilder at that time, so I kind of knew about, protein and carb intake.
Okay.
I knew that and so I kind of would follow that basic, very basic diet plan. And I would make sure protein was my priority. So I'd
Mm-hmm.
make sure I got all my protein. And it's still the same. I mean, it's still, your chicken, your eggs, your fish, your steak, all of that. And it was very, very similar. I just didn't have to, I had to make sure that I had enough fuel for my body and to replenish too, because
Yeah.
you want that like the growth to happen. I just never had to really take away those carbs like we would have to do with
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilding. But it
Okay.
was a very similar diet.
Nice. And then how do you think like powerlifting helped or didn't or hindered your bodybuilding? Because I know for bodybuilding it's all about aesthetics. It's
Hmm.
all, you know, yeah, yeah, and every division has a very specific look that they're looking for. So, it's great that, you're strong or whatever, but if you're too developed in
Hmm.
bodybuilding, what people don't realize, it's not just about like, yeah, who could be the most jacked, maybe
No.
for male bodybuilding it is,
Yeah,
but, but,
yeah.
but
But
for the
for
different
us,
divisions, it's not. Yeah. So how do you think the
I think that
powerlifting, yeah.
I think it definitely helped me. So funny. I was at a showing yesterday and she was like, "What are you doing after?" And I was like, "I'm going to the gym." And then she asked me this, like, "Gosh, what's the difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding?" I was like, "Oh, I love this. I'm actually going to talk about this." Um, I think
Yes.
it helped me because wellness is so much of a lower body focused, what do we call it, class?
Yes.
So all my squats and my deadlifts, I think really helps. I have a lot of dense muscle. So I think
Yes,
that
girl, you
helps
do.
a lot. Um, funny story, the girl that beat me in bodybuilding, we competed in powerlifting for years
Oh,
together.
wow.
Yeah, like we weren't in the same weight class. So it's kind of funny going like the differences. We weren't in the
Yeah.
same weight class when we were powerlifting, but we were on stage together when we were in our wellness prep. Yes.
Yes,
So
because for those who don't know, in bodybuilding and amateur, it's by height classes.
yes.
Um, so that's also another difference, which is, why Lauren and her did not compete in powerlifting together because they were different weight classes, but they're similar
We
in
were
height apparently, which
yeah.
is why they were competing on the same bodybuilding stage. And when I first saw you, you were competing in figure, right?
I did my wellness. I
Were
did
you in
that.
wellness? Okay.
I did wellness, and then this kind of goes along to where like, yeah, my bench was getting up there, and I'm pretty built. So then Feddy was saying, your figure can go even both ways. You could do wellness, you'd have to maybe
Oh,
stop
okay.
training so much upper, or you could maybe even make the jump to figure, and you'd have to train even a little more upper.
Yeah.
So it depends on the class. And I was thinking about it, but then you know what? I said, I love to train legs. I love to train upper too. But if I were to compete again in bodybuilding, it would still be in wellness because
Okay.
that's the way I like to train. I was going back and forth
Yeah.
because I could probably fit in both. Um, but wellness, yeah.
Honestly, like I compete in bikini, but honestly, I love the wellness look. I love like the look of the quads and like the bigger butt. I just know my little Asian ass probably could not grow into that. Sandy's still telling me I'm small for like bikini and stuff. My last show, like my last two
Yeah.
shows, I did decent, but
Oh,
I'm still
very well.
thank you. But I'm still
Yeah.
a relatively new athlete, so I know I don't have the same type of muscle density and muscle maturity
Mm.
as like you and a lot of the other girls do. So are you in prep now? Do you see yourself on stage anytime soon?
Yes, I do. I see myself on stage in summer of 2024. So
Ooh,
very soon. I want to be on a national stage.
yeah.
Definitely.
So you want to you did well your
Yeah,
last
I
show
did. I
with Feddy.
qualified for nationals. I
Yeah.
qualified for nationals, but that was at the time where I'd just gotten my license. I wanted
Okay.
to build my career.
Yes.
I got my license and I was still with Olga. Shortly
Yes.
after is when the whole transition happened. So I had to, I want to be a professional businesswoman
Yes.
and I can bodybuild, but I had to put that one first, just for now.
That totally makes sense because bodybuilding's not cheap and it doesn't pay. So that's what I always say. Like I need the lawyer part to pay for the
Yeah.
fit part.
Yeah.
Because even as a professional bodybuilder, if you ask them that you don't make a lot of money from this sport, you need to get either endorsements or work in this industry, be a coach,
Coaching.
sponsors, or have your own product line. Some people
Huh.
have apparel, some people have supplements, but it's not like other professional athletes, like soccer players, basketball players, like they get the boku bucks. Um,
Yeah, I always say, because they say, wow, like it comes up in showings, it comes up, in business
yeah.
too, like you're strong. And then it goes into like, yeah, I used to compete, and I will. And they're like, wow. And I say, but it doesn't pay the bills. It's
Yep.
a great conversation starter, and I know it's helped my business, but it just, that's the fun part. Everybody has to have
Yeah.
fun, and that's our passion. I mean, we have many passions, but that's definitely one of mine.
Yes. That's awesome. And I love that. That's why I feel like you're such a girl after like my own heart.
Yeah.
Um, so I was very happy that when I did reach out, you were as sweet as I
Yeah.
imagined you to be.
Oh,
And I
I probably
love your
sent you a
open
voice
house.
note or something like,
Yes,
okay.
yes. And I love your going to your open houses and I know you're very busy, but before I let you go, what advice would you have for people who want to get into the real estate business, who wants to be, either an agent, or you have to be an agent and then a broker, right? You have
Yes.
to, okay.
Yeah.
So first things first, what would you recommend to people who want to be a real estate agent?
Don't stop. So, no matter what, it's persistence. You have to keep going. Even if you don't want to go with a smile on your face, like just keep going. You're going to get the door slammed in your face. You're going to be hung up on so many no's. Like, no is great. No is great because now you know where they stand. You know what I mean? It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
really hard. You're going to be really, really uncomfortable. I remember driving home sometimes crying. And
Oh.
well, I'm so glad I did it, man. It's a great story I can tell people.
Yeah.
So it is just if you want it, go for it because you can do it. You're gonna learn every single day, but you just cannot stop. Like you always have to be like, it depends on how you want to work your business, but I love to post on social media. I love to call people. I love to network and talk to people. And even if you don't feel like doing it, you still have to do it. You just have to do
And you mentioned there is an exam.
it.
Are there classes, or what should people do to prepare for the exam? So luckily you were
Yes.
already working in the industry, but for someone who wasn't working in the industry and wants to just
Right.
take the test first, um, are there like courses, or what would you
Yes.
recommend for
There are
that?
courses, there are courses um all through San Diego Association of Realtors or National Association of Realtors. So there are classes. They give, I would say, if you can't partner up with a mentor in the industry, so if you cannot, then it would be all vocabulary and terms. So make sure you know all the terms. I think from just hearing them all the time, there was no question. Like I knew what that meant. But I
Hmm.
could see maybe somebody breezing through the course, like maybe not and there's those, they're worded funny and you have to
Yeah.
know what each word means. So I'd say that if you can't get a mentor to help you and like walk you through everything.
Yeah. And then what would you recommend for people who can't pass the test but still wants to be part of this industry?
Oh, well, if you cannot pass the test, I mean, you can take it many, many times. Hello. If you can't pass, then I would say, and they want to be in the industry, be somebody's assistant. If they don't require you to have a license, be somebody's assistant. You could even be a showing agent. It depends on each brokerage. It depends on each agent if they want to hire you and you're not licensed, like that's up to them. So that's like their
Hmm.
liability. But you could always help out in open houses. Like the girl I just mentioned, I'm gonna bring her into an open house just
Hmm.
so she can see how it is, see how you interact with clients, see how you talk about homes,
Yeah.
present a home, walk people through the home. Everybody has their own flow. But I would say if you still want to be in the industry, you definitely can be in the industry. Hey, you could even I mean, I'm super great friends with my photographers that, they're kind of
Oh,
they
yeah.
they know about homes that are coming on the market before, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
in the industry in many different ways. You could be a media marketer, like my brother's friend helps other agents, promote their social media. I kind of like doing it myself.
Yeah.
But you could do it that way too, I mean, all sorts. You could even throw events, be an event coordinator for an agent because they're always having events,
Yeah.
and help them that way.
I love
Just,
going to real estate events because there's always free food and free drinks.
yes, you're coming to mind. Yes.
Yes,
I think you were on
especially
mega prep
now.
at the time.
Yes, last time I went, I just had
You
some
were on
water because I was on prep. But that's what
super
I
prep.
always tell people too. Like, go network, especially if there's free food and free drinks. Even
Yeah.
if you don't come, first of all, I tell them you're always going to come out learning about something, right? Like unless you're literally just shoving your face there the whole time, like you're
Like
going to
not
learn
like it's
something.
gonna work. Yeah.
Exactly. You're just there with earbuds and eating. Like unless you're doing that, like you're going to leave learning something. So I love going to real estate events, like law events, or even like, because law, we work with a lot of case management programs and research programs. So they'll send me like launch parties or get together. So I tell people, go to networking events. You never know what you're going to learn. You never know who you're going to meet. Um, Especially as a young single female in
Both
San
of us.
Diego.
Yes,
You know, two young, attractive, fit, educated, single females.
I love her.
I love going to these events because I'm not gonna find my husband at a club. Like I'm not gonna find my
No.
husband at happy hour. I'm not. But shit, maybe I might find him at this real estate networking event. Shit,
Yeah.
he might be in the market for a home and a wife. Never know.
Yes. You know what else? I love to volunteer. So I'm a member of Coronado Junior Women's. I run my free boot camp. I volunteer
Yes.
and I take those donations and I donate to a nonprofit in Coronado. But the networking events, I mean, you can even have volunteer options there too.
Oh
Like that's just
yeah.
something that I like. So I'll go to these women's meetings and then there's like an opportunity for me to volunteer.
Yes.
And you never know who you're going to meet there.
I love
You
that.
know, you might meet one of their big donors who
Hey.
yeah, like
Hi.
you know, that's something else if you want to be in the industry, like network like that, do all of the things that you can do. You never know what's going to happen. You
I
don't.
love that. And then last but not least, where can people find you personally and professionally? And if you don't want them to find you personally, then don't give your personal info. If
Okay,
you do.
well, my personal and professional is kind of like merged. My you can find me on Instagram. It's just my first and last name, Lauren Shuffet. She'll have it spelled
I'll
down
have it
there.
in the description.
Yes, so that's my Instagram, my Facebook, they're all linked. My contact info is in there too. So you can call, text me anytime you're in San Diego, in Coronado, like call me. I know all the places. I do on that face or on that Instagram, you'll see my little free workouts that I do on the weekends. That's my little donation back to my community. So you can find me there on Saturdays and Sundays. It's right on the beach. It's beautiful. Yeah, you and all over. I actually had
Yes.
I was in Chula Vista checking out of a Target, and this guy says, "Are you the one that does the classes in Coronado?" Completely free. You don't need to bring anything but water.
I love that. And it's called Boot Camp by the Bay. I will definitely put that in the descriptions. And I keep telling myself I'm going to make it out there one day, but I'm just
There's
not
eye
a
candy,
morning
Julia.
person.
I know.
But I'm like, oh man, it's so early. If I have to be there by this time, that means I gotta wake up at this time. But I'm gonna make it out there one of those days.
I promise I
Because
wave
it
to
looks
everybody. All the
I'm
guys with
a,
their shirts off, we will definitely say good morning to.
and not only is it like you said, a beautiful location, but I love that it's donation based and you give that back to the
Give that
community.
one,
I love
yeah,
that
give
so
that
much.
to, it's called Safe Harbor of Coronado, and they provide youth and family counseling, and I
Oh, I
love that
love
so
that.
much. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so,
Love,
so much for your time, Lauren.
oh,
We will definitely get together, hang out more in person,
yeah,
whether at your open house or the gym.
anytime.
Gotta, you gotta learn, you gotta teach me how to squat to depth because now I'm thinking I'm doing it wrong too.
Right? I was like, "Eh?"
Yeah, now I'm thinking and criticizing I was like, I'm definitely not squatting to death. I know
I
that.
okay, well, I need to be on your pull-up train, so
Yes,
I know.
yes. We will definitely get together, but thank
I'm so
you
happy.
so much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Bye.